What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of That Dynasty Show. Today, we're doing something a little weird on this show. We're doing deal or no deal, essentially. That's what we're calling it. That's what Tyler's calling it, I should say, because this was his idea. He texted me earlier today, and he was like, dude, deal or no deal. We got to figure out. Like, let's do something cool with it. So, Tyler, first off, how you doing? And second off, explain this to everyone.
Well, I'm wonderful. As you can see, I'm wearing an extra piece of equipment today. I hope nobody wants to make fun of the alien-like appearance that it's giving me. I'm not a big fan of it, but Mikey was giving me a lot of hoopla about, the fans not being able to hear me. I like to think that you guys could pretty much finish my sentences by now, but whatever. We'll just appease Mikey, right? Anyways, getting back to the whole point of the video, right? So basically, we're just gonna play Deal or No Deal. We'll have a list of players. We'll click on them, and it'll give us a fairly even trade in terms of what the keep trade cut calculator says, up to a certain extent, to where I thought the calculator was stupid and I made a better trade. I don't remember which one it was, but it's all right. Yeah, we can hop into it. We're just gonna say when we see that trade, whether we would take it or not, what we would have to add to it. Yeah, we're just going to provide some commentary, and I think we have a couple good ones, some fun players to talk about today. So we can hop in, and I just caught a mosquito right in front of me. I wish you guys could have saw that because that was freaking sweet.
Ninja Tyler over here. Yeah. So for everyone watching, Tyler put this together. I have not seen any of these. I don't know what trades I'm walking into. So I think Tyler's might be a little premeditated, but mine
Oh,
are.
dude, I forget all. Do you think I remember even a single trade? I was so brain dead by the time I finished making this thing. Dude, it was not even close. could not tell you anything about this slideshow right now.
Well, good. We can go into it together. And you know what? The first one will be for you. So we've got 20 guys listed here. We'll say Josh Allen is number 1. Jerry Jeudy over here is number 20. And I have this 20-sided die because I'm a nerd and I play Dungeons and Dragons occasionally. So let's see what we got here. We got number 9. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Joe Mixon. Let's see. Tyler, for Joe Mixon, are you keeping him? Or would you prefer Aaron Jones and a mid 2023 second? And I'm assuming this is Superflex
Yeah,
format.
yeah, all of these are super flex PPR. Oof. Um, I think you got to give me Joe Mixon. This one's tough. Yeah, I think I got to go Joe Mixon. The youth, and he's just in a high-powered offense that doesn't seem to be slowing down with a much improved offensive line. I don't really see myself being able to replace Joe Mixon with that 2023 mid-second. So, and I think he kind of provides similar production to Aaron Jones for a longer term. So for that reason, I think I'm gonna stick with Mixon and say no deal.
I would probably go the other way, actually. I can totally see why you'd go Joe Mixon. But you know how I feel about Aaron Jones. I think he is, a top 3 running back candidate in 2022. He's only a year older than Joe Mixon, right? I mean, a lot of people act like Aaron Jones is ancient. He's 27. Joe Mixon is 26. The 23 mid-second, I'm assuming that'll probably be I'm guessing that's like pick 16 through 18 or something like that. I'll take that and Aaron Jones instead of Mixon. Probably going to get 1, maybe even 2 less seasons out of Aaron Jones. And I know just today, actually, Matt LaFleur came out and basically said he views Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon as a 1A and 1A. Those were his exact words, a 1A and a 1A. So I don't know. I mean, I still maintain the position that Aaron Jones could see 80 plus targets this year, and he'll still see at least 150 to 200 attempts on the ground. So that's the side that I'm going. But I wouldn't. I mean, I think this is a very even trade. Honestly, I think there's pros and cons to each side.
Yeah, I think in my brain, I thought Joe Mixon was 25 and Aaron Jones was 27. But yeah, I don't know. I think I still feel like Joe Mixon's a little bit more reliable.
Well, Mixon just turned 26. I'm pretty sure in the last month. So
Yeah, I think because I know from like all the work we've done this offseason, Joe Mixon, I've had him as a 25-year-old. But yeah, this one's just about like as dead even as it gets. Comes down to your preference, really. In PPR, I could definitely understand taking Aaron Jones over Joe Mixon this season, but there's almost no startup drafts where Aaron Jones goes over Joe Mixon, right? So I don't think the second round pick would make up for that difference for me. As high as I am on Aaron Jones, like I'm with you, but in terms of the value, I just don't know if it's enough.
Yeah, I remember in the one QB draft we did, and granted, this is super flex format, right? But the one QB draft we did the other day, I want to say Joe Mixon was top 15, and then I took Aaron Jones at the 403, which was pick number 33. So it's essentially trading down somewhere between 15 and 20 spots in a startup, I would say, here in non super flex. Obviously, with this being super flex, a little bit different, but I think the 23 mid-second would get me there and close the gap. So I'll take the Aaron Jones side. You'll take Joe Mixon side. So it sounds like you and I are match made in heaven here because we just got a deal done.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that can work out somewhere, but I actually don't think that it's possible. So
All right. Next up, we got a 14. So we know Joe Mixon was 9. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Travis Etienne. This should be good. Travis Etienne or Elijah Mitchell and Jahan Dotson. I'm gonna go with Travis Etienne here. And I think Keep Trade Cut is saying this is a lot closer than it actually would be, right? Elijah Mitchell for me, it's not that I don't believe in him. It's just that I don't believe that the same running back is going to be the lead guy in San Francisco this year. I think he's going to have a decent workload. I think he'll be a good first and second down guy. His PPR upside is going to be limited. I think his touchdown upside could even be limited just because of all the backs that they do have there. It's honestly, that backfield is kind of just a situation I'd prefer to avoid this year. So Elijah Mitchell doesn't really do a whole hell of a lot for me, especially in the deal with Travis Etienne. And when it comes to Jahan Dotson, Washington has no idea what they're doing at quarterback right now. I mean, fifth-round quarterback Sam Howell is currently outplaying Carson Wentz, and as big as I am on Sam Howell, it's still going to take him a couple of years before he can be considered a legitimate starter in the NFL. And I can't imagine Washington has a record good enough to where they would be out of contention for a top rookie quarterback next year. So there's a lot of questions. Plus, Jahan Dotson is going to be behind Terry McLaurin on the depth chart for the foreseeable future. I think Curtis Samuel is going to come back and do something this year. So I think it's a tall ladder that Dotson needs to climb in order to be considered, a top 25, top 30 dynasty wide receiver. And given that I think he's outside of my top 30, Elijah Mitchell's maybe my RB25, give or take. Etienne's sitting up in my top 10. So that's not enough for me to get rid of a top 10 running back. I'm taking Etienne every time on this one.
yeah, when I look at this one, it might depend if this was like a really deep league where, I was starting like 12 or 13 guys, it might be enough. But as I look at it, like Elijah Mitchell and Jahan Dotson, neither of them are really league winners that give you a top 5 at the position finish type of upside. Travis Etienne could, I'd be more shocked if Travis Etienne finished his career with no top 5 finishes than I would be if he finished top 5 this year. So yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I'm gonna say no deal and stick with my ETN boy.
Yeah, we're both. I kind of had a feeling this is one we were going to agree on because we're both big on Travis Etienne, and you know how I feel about running backs that don't catch the ball. And then Jahan Dotson, he's going to be a good receiver, right? But I could see him treading more into that territory of being a better real life receiver than a fantasy receiver. It's not that I'm out on him. It's just that I think that his price tag of like 112 to 202 in a fairly weak rookie class, right, as they call it. I think that's about right. And remember, I mean, we were taking Travis Etienne like 102, 103 last year, and that was with Najee Harris, Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts. I mean, we got 4 or 5 really solid guys last year. Javonte Williams was there too. So just not enough for Travis Etienne on this one. So let's roll the dice and give you a chance to speak on your next deal. And sorry if that's super loud. Hopefully it's not awful.
Not loud at all. Actually, I could barely hear it.
Good. So we got number 17. So 2019, 18, 17. We got DJ Moore. Didn't know which DJ we were talking about here. So even more excited. So Tyler, what side are you taking here? DJ Moore or Chris Olave and DPJ?
Package with not much confidence, right? I'm a low guy on DJ Moore, and I'm actually a high guy on Chris Olave and on life in general, right? But yeah, give me Chris Olave, DPJ. Uh, I think Chris Olave can very easily pan out to be comparable to DJ Moore, and give me the upside on that DPJ piece that could end up being a reliable guy for Deshaun Watson for a while. Chris Olave stepping into one of the best situations of any rookie receiver, and he's one of the most NFL ready receivers, right? I mean, he came out after his senior year, right? He stayed that extra year, so we're expecting him to be NFL ready when he steps in. I think he's going to be in a good situation with Jameis, a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns to go around, a lot more so than the Carolina offense, which I think, because I mean, there's no Christian McCaffrey really. I mean, I guess I just kind of put my foot in my mouth with Alvin Kamara, right? But
I was about to say, you got to watch that one.
even so, Alvin Kamara is not what Christian McCaffrey is in terms of the receiving game. Christian McCaffrey is a different animal that you have to consider as basically a number one receiver in that offense, right? So in terms of less competition, a receiver I just kind of like better, and possible upside with DPJ. I'm gonna take the package here.
See, and probably not to your surprise, I would take DJ Moore here. I agree with you. Chris Olave is arguably the most NFL ready rookie receiver that entered the NFL this year. Part of me would argue Jameson Williams, but he's not even ready to be on the field right now, so it is what it is. DPJ just doesn't move the line enough for me. I have a lot of faith in Chris Olave. I think that he'll be a yearly low end wide receiver too. I just don't know. I just don't necessarily know the amount of upside that he's going to have because, you know, Kamar's there, Michael Thomas is there, Jarvis Landry is there, and Jameis Winston, we don't know. I think he's with the Saints technically for at least another 2 years, right? But Jameis Winston wasn't slinging it like he was in Tampa when he was playing for New Orleans last year. Like I think he had 2 games in like 5 or 6 weeks where he had 4 touchdowns, which was incredible. But he was averaging less than 200 yards a game while he was starting for the Saints last year. And I know they didn't have Michael Thomas. I know things were a little wonky, and his receivers really were kind of dog shit. I mean, Marcus Callaway went in as the wide receiver 1. So I don't know if you can really blame Jameis Winston too much. But at the same time, I'm just not super excited about trading away DJ Moore for a rookie who has a quarterback thrown to him that was having less than 200 yards a game last year. And then DPJ, I am a huge fan of, but Amari Cooper is going to be in Cleveland for a little while longer. He technically has an out in his contract by the end of this year, but he could also stay in Cleveland for the next 4 or 5 years based on his current contract. I'm a big believer in David Bell, and I think David Bell is going to take over a Jarvis Landry role. I think David Njoku can take a leap once Deshaun Watson is under center. And I think DPJ could kind of be the odd man out and just be used on those, you need a big play to happen, heave it down to the field to your giant receiver in DPJ. So I think he's just going to be one of those home run hitters where maybe he'll get 14 or 15 games for you in a game, but most of the time you're probably seeing 5 or 6. So it's not enough. It's not going to close the gap. DJ Moore has started his career with nothing but 1,100 yard plus seasons. We're still waiting on the touchdowns to come together. I think it'll come. I hope it'll come. But either way, I'm taking the guaranteed 1,100 yards a year with DJ Moore here.
Sorry, I was just laughing at the discount double check that you just said. I'm just going to ignore it and not make an inappropriate joke. But I think that Chris Olave is close enough to DJ Moore to where any little bit of upside for me will move the needle there.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, and I admittedly, I'm probably lower than a decent amount of people on DJ Moore because I can fully admit I'm so happy that he's a Carolina Panther. I'm probably not paying cost for him in most drafts, right? I think Baker Mayfield is definitely a good upgrade from Sam Darnold, but if McCaffrey's going to be healthy, if Robbie Anderson's going to be healthy, if somehow Terrace Marshall can get healthy and start taking up some of those red zone targets like we drafted him to do last year, I mean, DJ Moore does have some capped upside, but nonetheless, I mean, he's Mike Evans without the touchdowns. And I know the touchdowns are a big thing, but who knows? Maybe they'll come. So I don't know. All right. Next up, we have Number 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Aaron Jones. We totally should have numbered these.
Yeah, my bad.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So Aaron Jones or a 23 mid-second and Kadarius Toney. So I think this one, I think I start first on this one, right? Yeah, you started first on DJ Moore. This one for me, I'm taking Aaron Jones. I don't think it's really close, to be honest. I can see why this would be close on KTC, and I know there is a lot of excitement out of Kadarius Toney. From what we saw out of him last year, he looked awesome, but he's already having like injury after injury after injury. The Giants are a team that, quite frankly, I really don't want a whole hell of a lot to do with because Danny Jones is one of the worst starters in the National Football League right now. Tyrod Taylor, even if he takes over, he's going to be one of the worst starters in the National Football League. It's a really spread offense, right? Like Kenny Golladay sucks, but he's there. Wan'Dale Robinson, he's a very similar player to Kadarius Toney, maybe just a little less explosive. Sterling Shepard could come back and be healthy. Darius Slayton is their deep threat. Like Kadarius Toney's not going to see the target share that a lot of people are going to want him to see, and we're going to need to see him have a big target share if he's going to make a legitimate impact as, you know, an upper tier wide receiver in dynasty football. So I mean, to be completely honest with you, like you'd probably have to add a mid 23 first for me to even consider this. Like I don't, the second and Toney doesn't do anything for me for Aaron Jones. I'd need to see more than that.
Yeah, and I think this has a lot to do with our biases on this channel. I kind of threw this one in here to show how ridiculously overrated Kadarius freaking Toney is. While he's a big upside guy, there are some people who are paying ridiculous costs for him. And also, on the other hand, just how undervalued Aaron Jones is. There are some people who literally will not give you like an early second round pick for Aaron Jones right now. And I think it's the biggest mistake in all of dynasty history because they're missing out on a guy who's just going to give you elite production this year that nobody can even really predict just how big Aaron Jones' season is going to be. And I think it's going so under the radar. I mean, we've been screaming about it all off season, but like, just go out and freaking buy Aaron Jones if you can get him at this cost. Like any day of the week, no matter what your roster's looking like, Aaron Jones can help you get up into a playoff spot for this cost, no matter what your team looks like.
Yeah, and a lot of people, dude, like Twitter was going crazy today when Matt LaFleur announced the 1A thing between him and AJ Dillon. That was relevant last year. Like we saw that already. We know what to expect, you know. AJ Dillon had more carries than Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones was still targeted a lot more than AJ Dillon, and Aaron Jones sat out a couple games last year, right? So I mean, yes. Is it possible that Aaron Jones has less than 200 attempts this year? Probably. You know, I would say I would say he'll probably be closer to 175 than he will be to 200. But it's also nearly a lock for him to have at least 75 targets. Like there's maybe 5 or 6 running backs in the entire league that have a legitimate shot to see 75 plus targets out of the backfield. And Aaron Jones is one of them. And if you're playing in PPR leagues, like you should be doing, that the upside is just too much. He's so cheap right now. If you're in win now mode, I don't think there's any reason not to go get him. I mean, if you can get him for Kadarius Toney in a mid 23 second, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and we've talked about it before, right? Like, there's no reason that Aaron Jones is not in that tier of like aging running backs that you just know are going to put up a billion points. I wouldn't take him over Dalvin Cook or Austin Eckler, but I wouldn't say that he's out of that tier either. He might be at the bottom of that tier, but I don't think that he's very far off.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's got to be the very bottom of that tier or the very top of the tier right after that, right? So I don't know. We'll see what happens with him, but I know we both have a lot of faith in him. And speaking of a lot of faith, I just rolled a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Davante Adams, a guy I have a lot of faith in, and you have less faith in. So let's see what the deal is, and you get to start off here. So, wow. Okay, good one. Are you taking Davante Adams or are you taking Michael Pittman in a 23 second?
This one's entirely based on roster construction. Like there's really I'm actually like kind of low on both of these guys versus the consensus, but It's so split down the middle. I mean, if my team's not going to win this year, yeah, I'm shipping Davante for Pittman in a second. But if I have even a chance, and I'm shipping Pittman in the second for Davante, I don't know which way to go here. This one is literally a wood chop. But I guess Davante. I guess just because his resale value during the season is probably going to be more than Pittman's. But like that's the only deciding factor here, really, is that like Davante can win me a championship this year. Michael Pittman is kind of just going to be like not necessarily a supporting piece, but he's not going to be the league winner for me this year. So I think Davante.
Yeah, and you might be surprised with my answer, but I think I would actually go with the Michael Pittman side. And I'm, which is weird because before I clicked on this, I was so convinced you weren't going to take Davante no matter what, and I was going to take Davante no matter what. Like you said, it's entirely based on roster construction. Like if I'm looking at my team and Davante Adams is currently making me a top 3 team in my league, I'm not going to trade him away, right? But if I'm any of the other 9 teams in the league, if I'm not a top 3 guy with Davante Adams on my team, I probably would take Michael Pittman. My early season projections, admittedly, I made them like almost 2 months ago at this point, have not updated them since. And I know that a lot of things has changed in my head. But my early season projections, I had Davante Adams projected for 17.6 points a game. I had Michael Pittman projected for 14.4 points a game. So it's a 3.2 points per game difference, which is kind of a big deal at the wide receiver position. But you know what, man? The 23-second, I think it does close the gap. And the other thing that closes the gap is like the 5-year age difference between these two. Off the top of my head, I think Michael Pittman's 24, 25. Davante Adams is 28 or 29. So, I think he is 29. So it's really close. But the thing with Michael Pittman is that he's gonna be hyper targeted by Matt Ryan. I think I'm a big believer in Paris Campbell, but I'll also be the first to admit Paris Campbell's made of glass and he'll probably be out by week 2. Alec Pierce, rookie. We don't really know what we're going to get out of him yet. Mo Alley Cox, Jelani Woods, and Kylan Granson. Really not a whole hell of a lot going on in that tight end room either. Like it really could be the Michael Pittman show. We talk about it all the time, right? Darnell Mooney has an off chance to lead the league in a target share for a wide receiver. Same thing with Brandon Cooks, right, in Houston, because neither of those guys have a whole hell of a lot of competition. Michael Pittman is one injury away from being in the same boat as those guys, and I don't really think it gets talked about too much. So, yeah, I think in most scenarios, I would probably take the Pittman side just because of the young upside that you get in that package.
Yeah, maybe I'm maybe I'm a little redraft heavy, but again, like when I look at those offenses, Jesus Christ, when I look at those offenses that both of these guys are in, like Michael Pittman is going to be entirely revolving around Jonathan Taylor. Davante Adams, that offense is going to revolve around him. So I think for that reason, I'm gonna stick Davante for right now.
Yeah, and that's totally a fair point to make, and I wouldn't make an argument against Davante Adams here. Like I said, if I'm a legit contender, I'm probably not going to trade away Davante, but there's a lot of spots where it would make sense to trade away Davante. But nonetheless, we're moving on to our next one here. We rolled a 1. That'll be easy to find. Looks like it's Josh Allen. So Josh Allen in a super flex league. I'm really intrigued to see what this offer is going to be. Holy shit, that's an offer. Oh my goodness. Jamar Chase and a mid 23 first for Josh Allen. This is a super flex. So Josh Allen's going 101 in pretty much every super flex draft. Jamar Chase is probably like the 105 to 108 range in most cases. So that's a big trade. That's a really, really big trade. Dude, I don't know. Do you want to take this one first? Because I don't know.
So there's 2 ways that I'm looking at this one right now. One is through a startup perspective, right? And if you told me, hey, I'll give you the 106 and 23 first round pick for the 101, probably taking that because less of a drop off. But at the same time, I'm probably looking to take a quarterback with that pick, right? As I look at this trade, it's like, yes, Jamar Chase is like invaluable in Dynasty right now, but it's going to be a lot easier to find another Jamar Chase than it will to find another Josh Allen, right? Like it has to be. Even if you took like Jamar Chase and if you ended up with like a CJ Stroud or a Bryce Young with one of those picks, like they're speculative, right? Like we don't know that either of those guys are going to pan out. Like, I mean, look at what happened to Trevor Lawrence just last year, right? I mean, he was supposed to be like the second coming of Jesus Christ, and now he's like kind of a middling pick. Like he's kind of a buy low candidate right now, you know? So God only knows what's going to happen with those rookie quarterbacks when they step in the league. I'm going to take the solid Josh Allen, and worst case scenario, if I have to blow my team up in a year or two, then I'll just get 4 first-round picks back for him and be okay.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. As hard as it would be to say no to Jamar Chase and a mid-23 first-round pick, it's just you can't replace Josh Allen. And it's really hard to replace a guy like Jamar Chase, right? Like those guys don't come along very often. But Josh Allen did something that very few quarterbacks, if any quarterbacks, has ever done before. He was the overall QB1 2 years in a row, and the team got even better this offseason, right? Like there's no reason to believe that Josh Allen can't be the overall QB1 for a third year in a row. And the thing with Josh Allen is he's not one dimensional, right? Like you go after guys like Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray. And yeah, their passing stats are like, okay, they're nice, whatever. They have some touchdown upside, but you're going after them for their legs. On the other hand, you know, you got guys like Justin Herbert and Pat Mahomes. You're going after those guys because they're legit contenders to have 5,000 yards and, 40 plus touchdowns. Josh Allen is the best of both worlds. He's not going to have quite as many rushing yards as Lamar Jackson, and he's not going to have quite as many passing yards as Justin Herbert, but he's going to get pretty damn close to both of those guys in those categories. And that is just a crazy advantage. There's no signs of him slowing down. So I agree with you. I'm not going to get rid of Josh Allen. As tempting as it would be, I'm not going to get rid of Josh Allen. And funny enough, I recently turned down a trade. It's a 16-team super flex, and I got offered T. Higgins, who everyone knows I love, DeAndre Swift, who everyone knows I love, and Baker Mayfield. And everyone knows I'm rooting for him, for Josh Allen and Dameon Pierce. If it was just Josh Allen, probably would have considered it a bit more heavily. But there's too much Dameon Pierce hype. So I was like, nah, screw you. I want my rookie. But, those are the kind of deals that you could get for Josh Allen. DeAndre Swift, he's a top three to top 5 dynasty running back for most people. T. Higgins, he's a top 3 to top 8 dynasty wide receiver for most people. So if you're gonna trade away Josh Allen, you need a return even better than that, even better than Jamar Chase and a 23 first. So it's just it's weird to say, but he's almost untouchable. Unless you're like dead last in your league, you need to enter full rebuild, and someone offers you like 4 or 5 first round picks, he's borderline untouchable.
Yeah, right. It's like anytime you look at a trade and it's like Jamar Chase and a first for what? It's like, well, Jamar Chase and a freaking first, you idiot, right? But no, it's Josh Allen on the other side.
You know what's so weird? I'd probably do this. Actually, I was going to say I'd probably do this to trade away Pat Mahomes, but honestly, now that I say that out loud, I don't even know if I would do that. Like, I think I would rather have Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes over this package. I think Justin Herbert, I'd be really tempted to sell. I think Justin Herbert, this deal would get it done for me, but yeah, it's just not quite there for Josh Allen. Maybe if you could throw in like a young quarterback, like if this deal somehow included, not that it would, because then I think they would be really massively overpaying for Josh Allen. But like if this deal included Trevor Lawrence or Trey Lance or, one of the rookies with upside from last year, okay, yeah, then I'd probably take it. But it's just like quarterbacks are so hard to come across in super flex leagues, and you have literally the best one in front of you. Like you just can't.
Do you think it would make a difference for you if this was like 4-point passing touchdown as opposed to like the 6 that we usually talk about? Because something I was like considering, but yeah, I'm kind of on the same page as you. Like still not really, right? Because it's still Josh Allen, right?
Yeah, it's still Josh Allen either way. And honestly, I was taking it from the perspective of a 4-point. If you're upping it up to 6-point passing touchdowns, then I think Josh Allen at that point is literally untouchable, and you can't get rid of him on your roster. But we've talked about Josh Allen, Jamar Chase for a very long time there, and kind of hard not to with a deal like that. And I just rolled a 20, which is Jerry Jeudy. Without even clicking into it, I'm already tempted to take the other side of this deal because I'm not a big Jerry Jeudy fan. I'm definitely taking the other side. Well, okay, so it's Jerry Jeudy in a 23 late second. I didn't see the late second there for a second. For Allen Robinson and Juju Smith-Schuster, damn, okay, this is actually a more reasonable trade now that I see the 23 second
Yeah,
there.
dude, I couldn't come up with anything that was not going to be like a smash, like frick Jerry Jeudy. So I had to add a 23 second onto his side.
I would say if I'm again, it's kind of situational. Like if we go back to the Davante Adams, Michael Pittman deal, I think if I'm a top 3 team, or I can be a top 3 team with the upside of Allen Robinson and Juju, I probably would take A-Rob and Juju. But I think in a lot of scenarios, as much as I hate to say it, because I'm really not a big Jerry Jeudy guy, I probably would take the Jeudy in the 20. Well, it's a late 23 second. That's not going to mean much. Like late 23 second this year. I know next year's class is better, but like a late 23 second is like Tyler Algier or some like scratch off running back like that. So, you know what? I'm going to stick to my gut. Allen Robinson and Juju Smith-Schuster, I'm going to take on this side in most cases. You and I both agree that Allen Robinson has a shit ton of upside this year. We both think that he could and probably will finish as at least a top 20 to 24 wide receiver this year. I think potentially as high as wide receiver 15. And then Juju, his projections are all over the place, right? We don't know what's going to happen in Kansas City. There's 4 or 5 different wide receivers. I think it's going to be a really spread offense this year for sure. But Juju's probably a safe-ish bet to be the quote-unquote wide receiver 1 there, whatever that means. But yeah, I like A-Rob. Juju's okay. I just really don't like Jerry Jeudy, so I'm going to take A-Rob and Juju.
Well, if you're taking A-Rob and Juju and you know how I feel about Juju, then you know what I'm doing here, right? And I mean, you can look at this as like a 1-for-1 in both ways. Like either way, I'm not taking Jerry Jeudy for Allen Robinson right this moment, even though a lot of people would probably tell me I'm an idiot. And I'm also not taking a 23 second, even for like a mid-second, I'm not taking that for Juju. So either way, heads up, no matter how you shake it, how you mix it up, I'm taking the latter. You got a deal from me.
Yeah, it's this really weird one because I think if you ask a lot of people, right, they'd probably go the Jerry Jeudy side. But it's just like, man, we really haven't seen much out of him yet. He's played in 26 games in the NFL. He's only caught 90 balls through 26 games, 1,323 yards, only 3 touchdowns. And he's never going to have red zone upside ever. Not behind Cortland Sutton, not when Tim Patrick is healthy again next year, not with them rolling out 2 tight end sets with Alberto and Greg Dulcich, I think his name is. And KJ Hamler is going to be the deep threat. Like Jerry Jeudy runs a pretty route. He's probably, you know, a top 10, top 15 route runner in the NFL. And I'll give him that. But it's just we haven't seen anything out of him yet. And I think even though he's only in his year 23 season, I still think we're hyping him up too much, man. If he can't hit his stride in year 3, like what are we gonna do with him? Right? You know what I mean? Like it's just we haven't seen it yet. And a lot of receivers, if they're gonna be something super special in this league, they've shown us something by the end of year 2. You know, like, yeah, you can bring up the Davante Adams argument, right? Like, oh, Davante had a slow start to his career too. No, yeah, but like Davante Adams is a unicorn, right? Like those kinds of guys don't grow on trees. And I don't know, dude. If we haven't seen it in the first 2 years from Jeudy, I don't know if we are going to see it, even with Russell Wilson coming in. So give me A-Rob and Juju.
I mean, when you look at if you look at a blind resume of these 3 players, right, and you told me you could get Allen Robinson and Juju on the same side, like these are guys who have both finished in the top 10 before, and they're going into the best situations they've ever been in that are like 2 of the top 5 offenses in the entire NFL. It wouldn't even be close. Like if you just looked at game logs from their entire careers, it's like, give me the latter, give me the trade.
Yeah, and I mean, everything that I just said about Jerry Jeudy, that was his age 21 and 22 season, right? His rookie year and his sophomore year. I know he got hurt his second year, but he still played 10 games his second year. Juju's first 2 seasons, he played 30 games instead of 26 like Jerry Jeudy. But in those 2 seasons, he combined for over 2,300 yards and 14 touchdowns and 169 receptions. Like, that's a pretty big difference. Do I think Juju is going to return that? No. I don't think Juju is going to see that type of production in his career ever again. I'm sorry, Tyler. I know you do.
I think you just hopped on the hype train. I think you just accidentally hopped on the hype train, dude. You might have just talked yourself into it.
No, definitely not. I don't see Juju ever having more than 900 yards in a single season for the rest of his career. I don't care who he's playing with, but I still like the upside. I'm hoping I'm wrong in making this trade because there is upside with Juju, but this is more about A-Rob for me than anything. But we'll move on. I feel like we're beating a dead horse.
No, before we move on, can we put money on that? 900 yards ever again in Juju's career? You want to put money on that?
Yeah, I probably would.
All right, we'll talk about that later.
I would probably put money on that. I don't think Juju ever sees 900 yards again in his career.
All right, we'll talk.
I think, and if he does, it's going to be like 908, and you're going to skate in there.
Well, it's still going to count. I mean, it doesn't matter if you win by a second or a mile. Winning is winning.
Well, this doesn't really seem like a super. I need like odds here because you've got like at least 5 years for him to do this. So,
well, I mean, this was you. You're the one who freaking came up with the terms and conditions, not me, dude. I just said let's put money on it.
I said I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't say he never will. I said I wouldn't be surprised. But we got time for one more here. So let's roll the die. Let's see what happens. We got 14. So if Mixon was 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We already had Etienne. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. CeeDee. We're ending on a high note. We're ending on Tyler's favorite guy. I almost rigged it to get 3 because I wanted to talk about T. Higgins. But you know what? We got CeeDee Lamb here. Do we even need to click on it, or do you want to just start defending CeeDee Lamb right now?
Yeah, I'll close my eyes and then I'll open them halfway through the argument. All right. So CeeDee Lamb is literally going to blow the doors off of the NFL this season. If you haven't made a wager on him yet, you should. The over-under is at 90.5 completions, and that's just absolutely asinine. I think he's gonna literally haul in like 125, 130 passes this year and go for like 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. I think that's an entirely realistic stat line for him in the top scoring NFL or top scoring offense in the NFL. If I could speak, sorry, I'm just drooling over the guy. But yeah, I mean, I believe in that offense. There's going to be a high concentration of targets. I believe in Dak. I believe in the offensive coordinator. I believe in everything that they're doing over there on the offensive side of the ball. Up until there's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then Mike McCarthy can get fucked. But I'm sticking with CeeDee here, and now I'm going to reveal DJ Moore in a mid-23 first. Don't even fucking look at me. Give me CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to take CeeDee Lamb here. I love DJ Moore. I love the idea of having a first-round pick that's somewhere between like 4 and 8, it sounds like. But, I mean, CeeDee Lamb is a guaranteed thing, right? Like with that mid-23 first, I mean, we're assuming it's somewhere between picks 4 and 8, right? So you're missing out on the 2 top quarterbacks, and you're missing out on Bijan, right? So best case scenario, you're getting one of those top 2 wide receivers next year, and you're hoping that they can even be 75% of what CeeDee Lamb is going to be, right? DJ Moore, like I said, I like him. He's very consistent, but he's not going to be anyone's wide receiver 1 in any league, right? Like you can't have him be your wide receiver 1. CeeDee Lamb can be your wide receiver 1 and probably is your wide receiver 1 unless you have Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. So this to me, as much as I like Moore, as much as I like the idea of getting one of those mid-23 first, it's just not enough. CeeDee Lamb is my wide receiver 4. He's most people's wide receiver 3 in Dynasty. I mean, he's going at the end of first rounds, beginning of second rounds for a reason, right? DJ Moore's going probably best case scenario, late 4th, early 5th in a lot of spots. So it's just adding a 23 first to the mix. It's just not enough.
Yeah, for me, it's just like CeeDee Lamb is too good, right? DJ Moore's just not a difference maker. And like you said, we're really hoping that 23 first pans out. It's just nowhere near enough. Not even close for me.
Yeah. So,
And honestly, sorry, I just wanted to say one thing. This doesn't help any roster that I can like. There's no benefit really. There's no team I can imagine this helping. You're not getting younger and you're not getting more productive. You're really just diversifying. I would rather be all in on CeeDee than half in on DJ Moore and half in on a mid 23 first. So
I agree. And since that one was so easy, we need to end on a higher note. I'm gonna handpick one. We got to end on CD. You're thinking I'm gonna click on T, but I'm actually gonna click on Jameson Williams because I want to see what Keep Trade Cut has taken up here for us. I know you said you wanted to keep this one a little bit shorter because you got some real life film to watch. Because Tyler is coaching, what is it, freshman football this year?
yes, I coach freshman football. The kids are some studs. They are a lot of fun to be around. So I'll leave it at that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, in a few minutes here, I'll let you go watch some film. But for now, we're going to end this talking about Jameson Williams because I feel like that CeeDee Lamb one, we got through it way too easily. This is actually a pretty good one. Jameson Williams or Elijah Moore in a 23 third. What are your thoughts?
I think I'm sticking JMO. I mean, a third round pick is literally just like, here, I'll blow you a kiss and say thank you while I'm walking out the door, right? For me, JMO's just got too much upside. And again, Elijah Moore is not really a needle mover for me. I mean, we saw a lot from him at the end of last year, but I'm just not a big believer in that Jets offense. Not that I'm a huge believer in Detroit offense, but I do think that they're going to improve a little bit more than the Jets this year. And I have more faith in Jared Goff than I do with Zach Wilson. I mean, we've seen Jared Goff have really good seasons before. Granted, that was with Sean McVay, right?
I mean, Jared Goff supported the overall wide receiver too from the second half of last season, Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? So, like, we know he can do it.
Yeah, right. I worry that it's going to be a spread out offense, but I have the same concerns for the New York offense, right? So, give me JMO, give me the upside. I think he's also a little bit more highly valued in Dynasty right now because there's not like a cult Elijah Moore fan base like there is a JMO Williams fan base.
Well,
I'm gonna stick with JMO.
You'd be surprised. I think that I'm going to take the Jameson Williams side just because, I mean, dude, I have been actively attempting to overpay for Jameson Williams, a rookie currently with a torn ACL, right? I have been actively trying to overpay for him in 6 different leagues, and I have not landed him in a single spot. So I would definitely take the Jameson side of this deal in a heartbeat. However, I'm going to post this on Twitter after we get done this video here. I think you'd be surprised. I would say, if I'm guessing, I think Elijah Moore, straight up in a 1-for-1, Elijah Moore and Jameson Williams, I think Elijah Moore is going to win by, I would say, at least 60 to 65% of the votes. So we'll see. I mean, I think maybe I'm talking you into some of the Jameson Williams propaganda, but like my reason for this is, one, Jameson Williams, he's my wide receiver 1 of the 2022 NFL class. I don't apologize for that. If anyone has seen a single video where we mention rookies, like, I've said this before, so I'm not going to get too much into him. But Elijah Moore, to your point, I don't believe in Zach Wilson. And I really just don't believe in Zach Wilson. But on top of it, like, Garrett Wilson is a more talented wide receiver than Elijah Moore. And I'm sorry if anyone disagrees with that statement, but it's the truth. Garrett Wilson is a phenomenal wide receiver. Elijah Moore is good. He's not Garrett Wilson good. Then you got Corey Davis, who people don't give him enough credit. He's going to be a really good red zone target. He'll be a good chain mover. And, he was injured last year when Elijah Moore was going through his big thing. It was pretty much just the Elijah Moore show. Like, the Jets really had nothing else besides Jamison Crowder going on for them. Now they have Garrett Wilson. They have Corey Davis back. They brought in 2 tight ends in Conklin and CJ Uzoma. And now they have 2 pass catching backs in Breece Hall and Michael Carter. Like, this offense is just something I want to avoid. Not that Detroit situation is much better, but like, I'd rather Jameson Williams compete with Amon-Ra St. Brown than Elijah Moore compete with Garrett Wilson. I'd rather have someone competing against DJ Chark than competing against Corey Davis. You know what I mean? Like, and then DeAndre Swift, yeah, I'd probably rather have someone competing against Breece Hall for targets than DeAndre Swift, because DeAndre Swift is, that's a big part of his game. He's known for being a receiving back, but these running backs are going to catch the ball 5 to 10 yards out. Jameson Williams is catching the ball 40 yards down the field. So I don't think it really affects too much there. So going JMO, and it's not anything against Elijah Moore. It's just, I like the weapons around him, and I hate his quarterback.
See, I just feel like like any section of the community that owns Jameson Williams, like nobody's letting him go. After the NFL draft, when Garrett Wilson went to New York, there was a lot of people trying to move off of Elijah Moore. A lot of people were hoping the Jets wouldn't pick up a receiver. Obviously, they did, right? I think while there is a fan base for Elijah Moore, I just think that Jameson Williams is just much more highly sought after right now, which is crazy. I mean, I don't really know what happened. Maybe people just started listening to our videos or something, and the community just blew up on Jameson Williams or what. But yeah, I'm sticking with him here, and I'm probably going to die on this hill here. I don't think there's a world 3 years from now where we look back and look stupid. I know that's a very bold thing to say, but I think on this take, I'm going to be really comfortable taking JMO over Elijah long term.
Yeah. So I'm glad we're in agreement there. I don't know why I thought you were going to take the Elijah Moore side, but
I'm usually a package guy, right? But when it comes to like a 3rd round pick, it's like screw that. And when it comes to just give me the guy I believe in, it's like screw the package. I have my beliefs.
Yeah. Well, I will let you get going here, buddy, because I know you still got a long night ahead of you. But this was a lot of fun. I really like this Deal or No Deal. Next time I'll put it together and let you kind of blind react to everything.
Well, we do have a handful of them that we didn't click on to, so we can go back. I definitely want to do this one again.
Yeah, we got at least. I mean, we probably got through 10, so we probably still have half the list to do here. So maybe we will have to do this again, in a week or two, revisit this one and produce some more Deal or No Deal, as long as the people like it, of course.
I'm worried about us, Mikey. I'm a me and you kind of guy. All right.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on That Dynasty Show today. If you like the video, hit that like button. If you want to see more of us, hit that subscribe button. If you got something to say or want to disagree with one of our takes, hey, that's cool too. Hit that comment button. Let us know that we messed up or that you agree with us, and your life wouldn't be complete until you let us know. And if you really can't get enough of us, join our Discord. We're always in there. We're chatting it up. Tyler's always answering questions. I do my very best, but admittedly, I got to get a little bit better in the Discord. But the cool thing is with our Discord users is, 1, it's a really easy way to get in touch with us, but 2, it's a really easy way to request for content. And since we are still, a smaller channel, we're pretty much taking requests at this point, right? If you got something you want to see, if there's a certain type of video you want to see produced, if you want us to grade your team, more than happy to do that. And chances are we will turn it into a video. So yeah, if that interests you, hit that Discord link.
If the Discord link is working, for whatever reason, it keeps blowing up on us. But yeah, just keep letting us know in the comments when it stops working so we can keep looking silly.
Well, the cool thing is I did fix the Discord link. So for some reason, I don't know what it was. We had it set to reset every 7 days. So I set us up with an indefinite Discord link. So we should be good now. But for myself, for Tyler, and for That Dynasty Show, we will see you next time.